Hello, everyone. Welcome to Design Thinking SD. So design thinking is a very interesting concept wherein we blend scientific thinking to aesthetic intuition to solve problems. And today we have our participants who have picked up some interesting problems that they are working on in their teams to use this conceptual blend of design thinking and solve those problems. Right. So let us start. We'll start with introducing ourselves. So I request one of the participants to initiate.
So, hello everyone. I'm Shagun. I'm a contributor in Student Unicorn Lab. I'm trying to incorporate like emotional wellness and uh, emotional intelligence in technology.
Okay, thank you, Shagun.
Hello everyone, I am Mitali and I am currently working in Growth Stories Lab from Deep Thought, where I try to infuse a human perspective, a human touch to the stories on how we can show the transformation of people and how we can influence people.
Great, thank you, Mitali.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Hinglaj here. I'm from Growth's Organizational Growth Lab, and as a growth hacker, I'm enlightening people that what Deep Thought does by connecting them with our company.
Great, thank you, Hinglaj.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Samida. I'm working in the Career Progression Lab, and we try to make sure that people stay engaged and are transforming into leaders throughout their journey at Deep Thought. And this is also one of the problems that we are going to focus on here. So I'm super excited for the dialogue so we can like break it down and figure out if we're doing it right.
Hello, myself Mohit Chikotra from Student Unicorn Lab. Currently, I am contributing in Student Unicorn Lab as a front-end developer.
Hello guys, myself Amrit Malviya and I'm a contributor in SU Lab, Student Unicorn Lab, and currently I am contributing in the creating best product in terms of tech as a backend and frontend both.
Great, thank you, Amit. So those are all our participants for SD. So now my co-mod can go ahead and introduce himself.
Yeah, like I'm Nitin, a part of Indian Cultural Lab at Deep Thought, a visionary who's keen on transforming people. And I'm going to steal Tarun's line here. If you guys are not enjoying the SD today, you can rightfully blame me and Tushar for moderating the discussion. Right? Yeah.
Thank you, Nitin. And hello, guys. I'm Prasar. I'm also I'm a leader at Deep Thought, and I've been working on developing some systems that can help people become more competent. Right? So I'm glad to be here, and I hope you guys enjoy this SD. Yeah. So before we jump into pitching, would both the teams go ahead and tell us why you named yourself what you did? Any team who would like to take the initiative?
Okay, so as means we are pitching about the wellness of a person or any people who are going to be well. So we are trying to deal with the problem of wellness. So we are here as a wellness warriors.
Interesting. Thank you, Team Wellness Warriors. Right. What about team principal? Would you like to go ahead?
Right. So it's we named our team principal, which is also the feature that we are going to talk about in the discussion. So it's basically our aim is to like think get people to think in a more strategic way, right? And often that requires us to like sort of go back to the principles and what everybody at Deep Thought often says, like going back to the fundamentals. And what we are looking at as a feature is sort of a buddy that can a software buddy that can help us to come back to those principles. So that's the principal.
Hey, thank you, team principal. Let's go ahead with the SD now. So which team would like to go ahead first in the answer box?
Okay, I'll take that initiative. I'll go into the answer box first. So, means I'll first present the problem statement that we are tackling, and then I'll present one PPT how we are using this design system steps to solve that problem. So, means in the fast-paced world today, people are often prioritize their work goals over their own well-beings. And this result to neglecting the self-care, and that leads to burnout, stress, and mental health problem, and they are not able to solve the problem efficiently as they can. And this somehow deviates the focus from them. So now I'll just present my screen to show how we are using design system thinking to solve that problem. So first thing is that we are that empathy, how we are going to empathize with the people and how we are going to choose, okay, this means persona of the stakeholders. So as I told that we are going to tackle the people who are not prioritizing their work and goals over their well-being. So there is a student, John, who spent most of the time in studying and preparing for the exams, and he really took break. And whenever he took that break, he felt guilty. Okay, why I did take that break and all. So one day he realized that he's no longer enjoying whatever he's doing. Instead of that, the thing that he was doing is the passion for him, and he really liked it. But as he was not taking breaks, and as he was not taking care of himself, he was like not enjoying whatever he was doing. Now there is another girl, Maria. She was working as a working mother, and who was constantly juggling with the demands of her jobs and family. She was not able to tackle that thing. And she found herself feeling exhausted and overwhelmed most of the time because she was not able to balance her priorities about their own well-being and self-care. And the third story is that Alex who was a college student who worked part-time to pay for tuitions and rents, and he find himself feeling stressed and overwhelmed, trying to balance his job, class, and social life, lots of things. And he missed out doing the things that he really likes. He wanted to do lots of things in terms of his hobbies and all, but was not able to. He don't know how to prioritize things, and because all this problem, people were thinking why they are not happy. What leads to the problem? So the problem that we are having is how do we help people to overcome from unbalanced life priorities, because as they are doing lots of things, and as they are like tackling with multiple things, family, friends, social life, so they are not able to like think how they are going to manage the priorities, and they have unbalanced life priorities, and how they can overcome from that. So this is the problem statement that we need to tackle. And how we are going to like find those problems, and how we are going to diagnose those problems. So here we use that 5 why techniques in that why they are having this unmet emotional needs, because there is lack of awareness about the importance of self-care and well-being. Like they don't know they have to take care of themselves, and they have to take care of their well-being. And why they are doing so? Because they are in that pressure to achieve lots of success and lots of productivity at one time. And why they are having this problem, why they are in that pressure? Because they are taking things more than that they can have. So, and this results that they are having this lack of self empathy, and they want to prove themselves because they have self-doubt. And how we are going to diagnose these problems, that we could do surveys, interview, and we can have focus group discussion based on that problem and observations of this kind of people. And then who else is solving problem? Like there are multiple applications, podcast, and some counselors who are solving problems. So means we just took example of three different scenario. One is application, that is Headspace application. It's a meditation application in which people are trying to like help people by doing some meditation and mindful exercise. Happiness lab in which some like experts and scientific research, and they are trying to like explain people how they can strategize and improve their well-being. And another one is that you're listening to motivational speaker and emphasizing like how they can self-care and balance. So there are multiple people who are solving that problem. So this is and multiple application podcast and multiple speakers are solving this problem. Now, how we are ideating this thing? So, like we use this yin and yang approach. Means our yin is self-care and well-being. If we have that self-care and well-being, definitely we are going to have this productivity and success. And we can encourage that self-care practices, providing resource tool for mental health and all. That is yin. And yang is like how they can manage their time and how they can like use some of the productive tool techniques and how they can strategize their goals that they want to achieve. And how means we can also showcase some of the stories of the people. And like the design impact will be having this mental health and physical health, proper mental health and physical health, and whatever they want to achieve and whatever they want to like they would be able to achieve, and that productivity will be definitely higher if they'll follow. Then we use this format of like prototyping so that we can like get step by step. So initially we can run campaign based on that, and our end goal is to make one application based on that. But this is the experiment that we want to do. So we can take self-assessment and questionnaire to identify what are the areas of concern that people are facing and access. We can give them educational content and resources related to wellness and self-care, how they can adapt it. And we can generate personalized wellness plan based on their self-assessment results and goals. View exercise routines, mealing plan, because most of the people are facing this problem. They are not taking proper meals and not taking exercise regularly. And whatever that they are doing, and if they are following this process, we can track their progress and feedback and recommendations based on the result. And like it will definitely impact on life, learning, and work. And how we are going to implement it means initially we want to implement it with small group of the people, but moving forward we want to establish a partnership with the organization and educational institute, corporates, means of to promote this idea, because in corporation and students, they are facing a corporate sector and students, they are facing this kind of problem. And then the learning that there basically we took 3 pointers. One is diagnosis, like how we are going to diagnose what problems that we are having, and second one is that impact with feedbacks, whatever people are giving us feedback, what impact that we provided and how we can measure those impacts, and the kind of content that we are proposing. So that is one thing that we want to learn, and we want to evolve over the experiments with this. So it's just an intuition that we are taking off, but means we hope that this will evolve that holistic learning and approach towards the well-being of the students and society. So if you have any questions, or like team is open to answer.
Great. Thank you, Team Wellness Warriors. Team Principal, you can go ahead with your questions.
Yeah, I would like to go ahead. So you are building an app, that's great. So I'm asking like, is it a time management app or a health and wellness app? Like both concepts are right at the table, right? So which audience will you target? Like 2 questions.
Can you please repeat the question?
Okay, his question is, who is your target audience? What is the app? What is your product about?
Yeah, because like they are targeting time management and health and wellness both together. That's why.
So yeah,
No, no, please continue. Please, Shravan, go ahead.
So my point is, as you, it would be combination of both. Means in our like pitch also, we just mentioned that people are not able to prioritize their what well-being over their work and tasks. So if we will tell that I'll just take care of your wellness and self-care, definitely maybe we'll distract them from work and for that like tasks or the goals. We want to tackle both of them. That's why we propose that yin and yang, that if we will tackle mental health and the space, definitely their productivity and success will taken care of.
How you will ensuring like their productivity and that is taken care of.
Okay, so we can have a graph that where they're prioritizing their work with their self-care. So when their graph of happiness or self-care will rise along with their when you are when you are feeling anxiety, your productivity level also becomes low, right? So when the both of them will become in hand and they will feel more happy, via graph we can achieve this.
So that graph would be one like scenario that will present their happiness and all. But Amrit, to answer your question, I would say we in our prototype itself we mentioned that we are going to have this 5 steps in which we are going to ask them question, and we are going to like prepare that self-assessment questionnaire and identify what is the age of concern and educational content providing them. So based on that, we'll try to understand what is the problem, and then we'll try to go forward with productivity and wellness.
Okay, like from the discussion right now, right? From the question that Amrit asked, like Amrit is like trying to defining, like is trying to define the problem statement, right? Is your app a well-being app or is it a time management app, right? But in the problem statement, you guys have this, like you guys have said that how do we help people overcome unbalanced life priorities, right? So is it related to the well-being of the person or is it related to the management of the person?
Yeah, so both the things, leads to an unbalanced life priority, right? If you don't manage your time properly, that will lead to an unbalanced life, right?
But in my understanding, both are different fields, right? One is the task management, which way you can say productivity, right? And the second is health and wellness, right? Where you can say meditation and the Tony Robbins, which is also give the same thing. Like so, the main question, like how will you target or how you will define your application? Which like my application will work in the health and wellness, or my application will work in the productivity and it will boost your productivity. Because
Okay,
you cannot
Amrit,
measure both.
a quick clarification. They're actually focusing on both the concepts together, right? So they're blending the concept. They're saying that if you're prioritizing on your work properly, then the well-being of people will be good, right? And if people's well-being is good, then they'll be better able to prioritize their work. They'll be better able to manage their time, right? So that's how their product is blending in both the concepts and then helping them solve the problem. I hope that's right.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you have any question now?
I have one question. Like, how are you guys ensuring that they maintain a balance? There is a balance of both the things.
Okay.
So, like we can after the testing phase, in like we can iterate through different feedbacks, getting the feedbacks from the people which are using this, right? So we can get regular feedback about their feelings. Through that, maybe we can track how the app is affecting their work and their personal life.
Any follow-up to that question?
I sort of have a follow-up. So this is for in general the entire concept also. So I think you guys mentioned a lot about assessments, and a lot of them to evaluate whether the app is working is focusing on things like surveys and interviews and self-assessments. So I think a lot of that is it could be like the person who is giving the assessment, it could be their views, or in case of an interview, it could be like sort of directed according to the views of the interviewer. So the answers can be affected a lot by the person who's giving the answers or the person who's asking the questions. So how would you ensure that these questions, this evaluation stays objective, not like influenced by somebody, and whether it is like just a result of people's current opinions or whether it's a result of their like long-term behavior?
So in first pointer, we mentioned that we are going to take propose that self-assessment in which or questionnaire. So that self-assessment will be a that would be a questionnaire. In questionnaire, the questions that would be there will make sure that questions are like formalized in that way, so that will not means look. When people are asking questions, so if I'm asking question to someone, so definitely it will like deviate the way how I'm asking the question. But if the question is written in clean format and that visuals are good and will present that question, and people try to like express their feelings in that questionnaire, and then you will try to counsel them, so that would be definitely fine. So instead of interviewing them at first case, we will give them questionnaire so that they can do, and after getting feedback and insights, we can group them people who are facing same kind of problem, because this problem is not simple, this is huge. So
Okay, Samira, does that answer your question? You are talking about subjectivity and objectivity, right?
And it partially answers my question, but the second part was like long term. So how are you going to differentiate the answers that are based on their feelings and their opinions from their actual behavior long term? Like, is it just they're feeling better in the short term, or they're thinking that they're improving and it's improving the productivity, or are they actually able to implement that work-life balance sort of behavior in their everyday life for a long time?
Like we can like what Shagun said, we'll take a self-assessment or a questionnaire. So the questionnaire will be like a per day thing, like how many times you smiled. These kind of questions. How many times you smiled? Are you still feeling tired? Like hourly basis, or you can in the end of the day, like according to the survey, we can organize this question hourly or per day. It will be according to the survey. So are you feeling happy today? The level of amount of happiness you are feeling, or are you tired? So how you'll rate
Okay, got your
yourself in the
point,
tiredness.
Nilesh.
Yes.
So you have got this phase right now. How are you how are you using this phase to ensure that the solution that you have provided, that's solving the real problem in the long term and not just the short term effects?
yeah. So the thing is, like when you will propose that subjective question, people like need that. Definitely, they'll write something, and that that requires that particular amount of time, and they will in that situation, as Samida proposed, that we cannot able to identify that whether it's a feeling or opinion. But when as English proposed, that we are going to find some questions that they can just slide over that key percentage of the people. So if you're going to talk ask these questions one by one, and within a week, within a day, based on the insights and surveys that we got, definitely we'll be able to assess that person in a long term, how that person was 2 weeks or 3 weeks back, and now how he's feeling. after taking that assessment or questions.
Okay, just one question, like I'm not clear yet. I just want to know the problem statement here, like are they not productive or they are not taking care of health? Means you just said like due to the over workload they are not taking care of health, right? But I want to know here the problem statement, like they are not productive or they are not taking care of health.
So I'll just like how we are defining the problem. We are defining the problem that how do we help people to overcome unbalanced life priorities, not priorities, priorities. Okay. So if you will talk in this modern era, what happens? There are lots of people who who are in work and they are not able to, they are working a lot. And they often prioritize their work, tasks, goals over their well-being and self-care. So that leads to the problem of mental health, stress, anxiety, and burnout. And this results in lack of productivity. And as it results in lack of productivity, means they are not able to tackle the problem efficiently. Means if they are not having all these feelings, definitely they'll be able to tackle the situation in different manner. But because of this, they are not able to be in that productivity. I hope this clarify.
And how you will just give me a solution, how will you solve this problem? Just to be more clarify, I just want one solution. Okay, we will follow this step to solve this problem.
Okay.
Okay, like your, yeah, go on.
Yeah, Nitin.
Okay, like your problem statement is helping people take the right priorities, right? How they can prioritize themselves over in certain areas and how they can increase their productivity by doing so, right? That's the problem you guys are addressing, right? So what's this? Oh. Okay.
Right. So team wellness wise, can you go ahead and present one solution to the problem statement, how we are going to solve the problem?
Yeah. English, you want to go ahead?
No, please go ahead.
Okay. So, look, the problem first means we are trying to diagnose the problem. That is one thing. And how we are going to diagnose, like we already proposed how we are going to diagnose. Then we are going to have this questionnaire through which that self-assessment and all that will definitely energize people. Because look, if people are having this problem of not taking prioritized properly, they are having stress, they are in different situation and they need someone who can help them. So basically, when we are going to bring that thing in long term and when we are trying to prepare that this prototype for a large amount of people, when you are going to scale. So in that situation, that questionnaire and that insights will help them to gain the
Clarity.
yeah, English.
Yes.
You want to continue?
Yeah, so that Shagun was saying that okay, there will be much more clarity in their work life and their self-care life. Like we can also, like for a solution you asked, right? That what solution we can give to them. We can analyze their results, and as we said that benchmarking, we proposed few steps on the benchmarking according to the assessment, according to the people, according to the schedule. We can help them with the app that okay, we can have a podcast is or headspace an app we are using and happiness lab a
I'm sorry,
motivational
Hinglaj.
speaker.
You're talking about the benchmarking stuff, right? The solutions that other people have.
Three
Can you
solutions.
give the solution that you have come up with?
Three solutions. One
Yeah.
would be that questionnaire that will definitely help them to analyze why they're having these issues. Second
Okay.
would be giving educational content and resources, just fill them with that kind of stories and content so that they can overcome with that. And helping them with the wellness plans and means how they can prepare their wellness plans, exercise routines
Right.
and all.
Got it, Sifan. So just to clarify for everyone for once, the problem statement that we are dealing with is how do we help people overcome their unbalanced life priorities, right? So they do not have proper priorities because of which their wellness is being affected. Since the wellness is affected, their priorities are again affected, right? Now, the solutions that they have proposed are three, right? They have three ideas. The first one is providing questionnaire to people by which they will understand them and, they will get more insights from the thing. Right. The second is educational content that they can provide to those people. The third is helping them with wellness plans. So they will help them set plans which those people can follow and solve the problems. I hope the problem and the solutions are clear. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please go.
I have a question. So I am you guys are covering a lot of topics through this solution, from time management to health and wellness to maybe peace of mind and all those things. So I think it's from what I can see, it's based a lot on correlation. This time management is correlated to emotional balance and meditation, or these activities that you can do can be correlated to their work-life balance. So because this is a design thinking thing and you are implementing, and it might not work out because there are so many things that you're covering, and there can be constraints on every step because there are a lot of things. So how would you deal with the problem then? What happens if that correlation does not actually matter that much?
Okay. So could you please specify one or two correlations so that it will be specific for us to give answer? As of now, you propose time productivity and time management and productivity. So I would say that lies in the same box. What would be in another box that
employee health? I think you guys covered health also, right?
Yeah, employees will be, yes.
So that is sort of a completely different thing from time management. And because you guys are covering all these things through just one campaign, what if some things work or some things don't? There are a lot of things that would go wrong. So how would you address that?
Can you be more specific here, Samra? When you say there can be a lot of things that goes wrong, right? I mean, what are the things that can go wrong?
Yeah, in terms of like I said, correlation, if there is one, suppose the time management part of the thing, it does not work the way you expected, and it's not you're not able to measure how it's going to affect well-being or work, the balance thing that you are mentioning in through the problem statement. How would you address those problems?
Okay, so to
I hope
answer,
that was clearer.
Yes, more.
yeah, so the answer to this may lie somewhere between need finding and diagnosis, right? So when we are trying to cater to so many problems, right? It's essential, right, to get the right patterns, right? So when we are diagnosing the problem, first we can have the three personas, right? Things that affect my productivity might be different for you. It might be different for Shagun. It might be different, right? We can have some set of questions that we can ask to get some what we say some personas, right? That this kind of people, these things affect their productivity. For these kind of people, these things, right? These patterns, right? So, and according to this, then we can set a proper content that we can cater to try to solve, or try to get them aware that these are the things that are affecting your productivity, and these are the things that you can do to make some tweaks in your day-to-day life. I hope this answers somewhat your question, right?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. I have another sort of question. So what you mentioned is, sorry.
Can we please use the Socratic way of questioning and do follow-up questions instead of jumping to different questions? So if you have a follow-up question, anyone please go ahead and ask, Mayat. Any follow-ups? The pointers that he conveyed was he would ensure that the need finding is done properly and they find the patterns properly. Right? Once the patterns are found, once they have understood the audience, they will prepare proper questionnaire that will help them tackle the problems. Now, any follow-ups?
Okay, yeah. So again, I think this is sort of about the empathy phase of it related to what you said. So how are you going to ensure that like whatever tweaks you're making or whatever like strategies you're implementing, those are sort of targeting the root cause and not some problem symptom?
Okay.
Yeah. Mohit.
Yeah. So maybe this will lie somewhere near benchmarking, right? So when we are trying to find out who else is solving these problems, right? Maybe we can bring them to our platform, or maybe we can try to set up some interviews and talk to them. How are they dealing with it, right? How they manage to uh, deal with the root cause of it, right? Maybe we can find some solution there. For that,
Okay, Mohit, Samina's question was, you guys have the solutions, right? How do you ensure that
Okay.
your solutions are solving the root problem and not just the symptom? That was the question, right, Samita?
Yeah. So means the answer to that question would be means as of means we are just proposing the idea, proposing the prototype. So means we will take feedbacks. We will definitely take as Inglas also presented, that graphical representation would be one way that she will propose. And instead of asking subjective question, we'll ask MCQ question through which we can lead to that conclusion quickly. So like this will ensure a kind of feedback or insight, and like putting all of them in one group and like taking them through kind of feedback questionnaire and all that would really help to get that insight whether we are able to help those people or not.
Got your point, Sugun. So you have got the feedback from people. How is the feedback helping you know that it is a root problem you're solving, not the symptom? How do you know that? Can you give some specific examples?
Okay, so I shared that, okay, the happiness like happiness level we are talking, right? When people the time management, that they will be able to manage their time, their health, the whole purpose will be they will be more happy, right? When their priorities will be sorted, they will be more happy, and they'll show that in their assessment that okay, that they are happy. And by this we can, and I know it is much more deeper than assessing being happy, but via survey we can ensure that okay, we are going on a right path by tracking their happiness.
Okay. Yeah, please.
yeah. So when we are saying, did we get the root cause? Did we solve the root cause, or is it just a symptom? Are we trying to calculate the impact? Is it connected to the impact?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like, is the problem that you were originally seeking is the one being solved?
Okay. Yeah. So for getting to know whether the impact is, are we getting the impact right? We can interview people. We can set up. We can collaborate with some, counselors, and we can set interviews and get some results. And we can compare it with the past results, right? So get to know that what is the impact difference between the past interview and the current interviews.
Okay, so you're interviewing people and comparing the impact report, right? Now,
Yeah.
I have a follow-up question to that. So first of all, the problems that people have presented to you, that will be a symptom, right? You did the root cause analysis yourself, you found the root problem and you're solving the root problem. So when you take people's feedback, how do you know that they would know that you are solving a root problem? For them, it's a different problem, right? For them, the root might be a different problem, not the actual problem that they think that they are facing. So
Okay.
what if in feedback they give you a different thing that you're not solving their problem because it's not displaying the short-term, impact?
Maybe we can solve it back in the need finding and diagnosis. When we are doing the diagnosis, right, we are getting the patterns, right? So we can also maybe we can figure out what are the symptoms they feel they have and how and what are the root problems that we think might be behind the symptoms that they are experiencing, right?
Okay.
And when we are catering, anything.
Yes, Mohit. Like, the question was like, how will you ensure that the problem that you're solving is a root cause, right? I mean, can you give an example here? For example, right, like you guys said, like them being able to like prioritize their work and like manage their work and their well-being at the same time, right? That's the problem you're solving, right? And the solutions you guys gave was the questionnaire and the other stuff, right? How can you ensure that this is solving the root cause and not just the symptom? Can you give an example here? How will you figure out whether it was a root cause?
So as I said, if we'll suggest something to them that okay, you can follow. If you are suggesting something to them according to the assessment, we can see they'll have a change in them. They'll be more happy. Their work and life will be more sorted. They'll be feel that change and they will share that thing. And if they're not feeling that kind of a positive change, we will again go back and suggest them something different type of a solution. Or if we'll
Want to go back to the empathy part of the stakeholder that we propose. So basically, in the story of John, that he is a student and his that symptom was that he was not enjoying the studies like how he was, and means that uh, instead of that, that study is a passion for him, but he was not enjoying the studies. So the root cause here was not that he is not enjoying the studies. The root cause was that he is not taking breaks. He was not having this self compassion, and he was not caring himself properly. That's why he was not enjoying what he really wants to do. So instead of solving that problem of the that what we can say, making sure that he studies well, that is symptoms. So if we'll solve that, he enjoy his studying, so definitely we'll propose that good study material or something that will energize them to study more. But we are not trying to solve that symptom. We are trying to make sure he is calm, self-compassionate, and he take care of himself, and that root cause will connect. In all those problems, we are trying to connect with the root cause of that problem and try to solve the self-care and well-being of the person, not just the symptoms.
Okay, thank you, Sugun. Any question from team principal?
So one more question. How would you you gave a campaign and there are a series of things that you're going to do to ensure that they are implementing these work-life balance things. But how is your campaign going to be different from any other campaign or any other wellness program in an organization? Because a lot of them already have things to make sure that work-life balance is being maintained. So is there any special thing that you're offering that maybe organizations don't offer, or employees are not able to get on their own? As in, how are you creating value for that product?
All right, before jumping into this question, right? Earlier, the question that was asked was like, how will you analyze and understand whether this is the root cause that you are solving, right? England's gave an answer that they will collect feedback, right? I mean, they will collect the expression of the candidates, right? If they are feeling happy towards the end of the questionnaire, then that's a feedback, and then we can know that okay, we are solving the root cause actually, right? Does that make sense? Does that answer your question, Samita? Earlier you asked, right? how can you ensure that you are solving the root cause? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. But
Okay, so-
can I have a
Go
follow-up
on.
question to that? Yeah.
Please.
Sorry,
please.
what if the like you figured out the root cause and you're seeing how that your measures are sort of addressing that root cause, but what if when you actually implemented the root cause also changes, or maybe the problem statement changes? How would you address that?
Again, if again the survey is there, the assessment is there, when the problem is changed, to identifying the change or a new problem, we'll have the assessment, right? From that we'll again we'll come back to level 0 and we'll try to solve their problem. The steps will be same.
Okay, but if you're like defining the problem, the way the problem is defined only changes, then maybe like how will you like connect it to the solutions that you have in place?
Sorry, can you please repeat?
I said that you said that the solutions will stay the same, right? Just we're changing.
No. The solutions will be changed according to the problem. See, if the problem is changed, we again back to level 0. We have a new problem. So via assessment, we'll again suggest them different solutions so that their happiness will go above, right?
Okay, but what if you find out that happiness is not one of the factors that is affecting work-life balance? I mean, that is a very big assumption, but like for any specific thing that you are trying to connect with work-life balance, what if it's not actually one of the problems?
So like if your work, like suppose your work life is not balanced, right? You are doing so much work that you're not giving yourself like a 5 minutes for a day. You are like you are biting to you are biting, then you can chew. So what will start feeling? Tell me. You will feel tired, anxiety. In the end of the day, you will be not happy while the things you are doing which made you happy, right?
Okay, happiness can be one of the parameters, right? Through which you can ensure whether your solution works or not. What else can be the parameters? Is that your question, Samita?
Yeah, like I think what I'm trying to say is like the set of solutions that you came up with, it may not be applicable for everybody. Like somebody who is not emphasizing that much on happiness for their work-life balance, it won't really work out. Like having happiness as a measure won't really work out for their work-life balance. So how will you ensure that like the problem statement is keeping all these things into account, like that some of the things can differ for everybody, because
Okay.
you'll be addressing a lot of people large scale, right? So it may not apply for everyone.
So, for example, for a health being, we can also say that when we are stressed, we eat a lot, right? We do stress eating. We gain a lot of weight. So they are not they're not being they're not justifying with their health, right? So they'll gain more weight. So there are many by our assessment, there are many factors or many features or many
What
areas
are
will
those many
cover.
features? What are
That
those many
is
features?
that like for example, happiness, well-being, all these things, or the prioritizing. Yes.
So there would be definitely happiness. That would be one feature that we can like cover up. Okay, that person would be happy. One would be that effective communication. Effective communication doesn't mean that like just communicating efficiently. It will be like how that person is communicating and how he is.
1 second, Shagun. Sorry to interrupt. Like rather than saying what will be the other parameters, right? How will you arrive at those parameters? How will you understand the users and come up with those parameters?
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah, Mohit.
yeah, so when we are doing the diagnosis, right, in that phase only, if we if assuming if none of us are psychologists or counselors, right, we can verify the data, right? We might assume that parameters are happiness and etc., but we might verify the data through some verified counselors, or we can collaborate with other people are doing the same jobs.
Yeah, got your answer. Like, rather than just like going with certain parameters, what they are trying to say is they'll take a certain parameter, first experiment with it, get data out of it. If it works, they'll come up with more parameters. Does that answer your question, Samita?
Yeah, so sort of what I'm getting is you guys are not looking so much at a campaign, but more of a framework. So to like look at people in different aspects and put it into a work-life balance context.
Yeah, so like it's an iterative process, right? We might not get the right pattern at the first iteration, but from the feedbacks from all the parties, maybe it can be the user who is using it from our side, and from the collaborators, we can tweak the parameters up and down.
Yeah, thank you, Mohit, for the answer, and thank you, Samita, for all the questions. So let's go ahead and do the second round, right? We don't have much time now. So thank you so much, team principal and team wellness warriors. So we'll now switch the teams, and like one will be the question box and the other will be the answer box. So yeah, team principal, would you like to go ahead?
Amrit, can
Yeah,
I
I'll
just share
take
the
it.
screen? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Thank you.
sharing it. Yeah. Hope it's visible, right?
Yeah, it's visible. Just put it on slideshow. Thank you. Okay, yeah. So the problem that we are addressing is like very personal to us at Career Progression Lab as well. It is that, so as you can see, we have stakeholders here. All of them are sort of wanting to improve their quality of thinking and think from a more strategic perspective, think from a more like CEO, VP, CXO level, those kind of perspectives, and approach problems in that way. But what we are seeing as a problem statement is that people are not able to think that far. And we have all these engagement and learning drills through CPL that are trying to make people think in those from that approach. But we are giving a sort of structure which and the people are like using that structure, coming up with short-term solutions, but are not able to find the patterns in them and think in a more holistic organizational long-term kind of way. So that is the problem we're addressing, to that people are thinking in short-term ways instead of long-term way, and we want to make sure that they are able to improve their quality of thinking to think on a more business level. So Mitali can go with the need finding.
Yeah, so as Samita mentioned that we are focusing on how people can think strategically in long term. So we find that there's a need to, to develop solution to focus on frameworks rather than addressing solutions in a short term manner. And we found through experimentation that how people who are actively engaged in learning drills can can come up with solutions in a long-term manner and think strategically. And we also found that, like in benchmarking, we see that labs such as Career Progression Lab and leaders of Deep Thought and Arun, the CEO of Deep Thought, how they are solving this problem by engaging people into the engagement drills and learning drills and courses that take place at Deep Thought.
Yeah. Am I okay? So let's go to addition. So in addition phase, we got three problems, and we choose one problem, right? Which is short of like we are having like which the name is principal, right? As the name suggest, and the problem is how a person can go from associate level to CXO level thinking, right? That's the main problem we are addressing, and how we are going through it. So basically, in the prototype level, we are okay. So sorry. Yeah. So in the addition phase, principal is a kind of a feature we are adding in the POC, and it will help. It is a kind of a documentation, right?
Amrit,
We have,
Amrit, like since like everyone is hearing, right? Like, can we like not include TUC and stuff
okay,
rather
it's a
than
part
explain
of
it in
TOC.
more simpler terms?
Okay, so
Like, can you
basically,
explain it in a more simpler terms?
okay, yeah. So just think like a documentation which is a collection of the all the problems, right? You are getting from the asynchronous discussion or the meetings or any kind of TOC reviews, right? It is a collection of the problems, fundamentals, and the first principles. So what you can do, like your team can go and check the various problems, and after discussion, they can come up with the framework. That's the main problem we are solving from the principal. Yeah. Shamita, would you like to go ahead?
Okay, so like Amrit mentioned, the product we have, the feature we have, Principal. A lot of organizations do this, right? That they want people to voluntarily engage in learning and think for themselves, think on a more strategic level. So with this, we are sort of giving them a space to document their learnings and think of it in terms of the first principles, find patterns, and then those things can help them having a space where all of this gets documented and categorized. They can all the people can then work on frameworks through discussions and all together through one platform specifically. So in the implementation, what we're looking at, we want to apply this for DT, but it's also for people large scale who want to engage more in leadership roles or want to engage more in voluntary learning or think on a strategic level. So if this prototype works here and people are actually, we can see through the measures that people are engaging more, they're able to come up with frameworks that are like high level thinking kind of frameworks, and they're able to connect it to their everyday examples. If this happens, then we would like to implement it on a larger scale, look at different organizations, look at our own client organizations, and sort of anywhere where you want people to be in more leadership positions, this sort of a product, this sort of a format can help them think more in those lines. So yeah, you could move to the next slide.
That's learning.
Yeah. So basically what we are trying to say here is that we want people to come up with their own frameworks and be able to think strategically, and giving them a format or a space where they're able to do it because they're finding each other's fundamental principles in an easily accessible way. We think that it can really help people progress more in their career paths and think on more business terms. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Shamita.
Right. Thank you, team principal. So just to quickly clarify for you all, the problems that they're dealing with is how to get people to think, like change their thinking from short term to long term, right? How they can start thinking strategically. So when they start thinking strategically, maybe they can move from associate to the CXO CEO level of thinking. Right? That's the problem they're dealing with. And they did benchmarking and they found out how people in Deep Thought are dealing with those problems. And they came up with a solution themselves, which would be they would have a section, a feature, the TOC or some product, right? Like a feature or a sort of platform where people can come and document all the problems that they found, the first principles, the heuristics they found. And then the team can go ahead later on and find patterns in those and then together understand those patterns, learn them. Okay, so that's what they're doing. So
yeah, so
team wellness wise.
Right. Yeah. This was the prototype, like including it as part of a TOC. And if we can see that it's actually working very well and people are engaging more, then we can move it to an actual product.
Great. Thank you, team principal. Team wellness wise, please go ahead with your questions.
So the problem that you guys are solving is that how means an individual in an organization would leads to that strategic level thinking, and he can think like CXO and he can come up with frameworks. So my question is, he means in that prototyping, what is that principal experiment that you guys are proposing to solve that problem? Means that it's all about experimenting, how you are going to experiment your term and to solve that problem. And why it's the part of TOC means it would be my next question, but why it is in the TOC?
Okay, let's go ahead with one questions first. Let's go.
Yeah.
So yeah, team principal would you like to go ahead and answer that. How are you going to experiment this idea that you came up with? That's the point, right? So
Okay. Yeah. So basically, the main thing.
Sorry, I would like to first understand what is that experimentation, then how what we can.
Okay.
So in your pitch, you said, right, you conducted some experiments and you found out some certain things. So what was the experiment? Can you explain to us the experimentation you did?
Okay. Yes, definitely. So it's more regarding the how you are improving the. We were like conducting like a person who is just it's more regarding the learnings. A person who is just doing the coding from the traditional method, right? And the second person who is working in the continuously improvement and the improvisation of the code, right? So how they are reducing the time of the code, that's the main point. And we got it from the continuously pattern. The pattern is like they are continuously looking for the different solution. They are continuously looking for the different kind of people's code. And they came up with the framework like first you will write the code, and then second you will improvise the code, and third you will optimize the code. That's a framework we got from this experiment. Which is those people who are looking for the different solutions.
So what Amrit is mentioning is like one example. So we are looking at how everyday tasks we can associate everyday tasks to like thinking through patterns and in a strategic way, right? So for this coding example, it's also like you are working on a specific task and then you're looking around at other people's codes and then you're able to like sort of condense all of it into a framework. So how are you able to voluntarily do that? So there is one person who is able to do it, and there's one person who's able to do it, and we're contrasting it to people who are not able to do it. So the person who is actually using frameworks, they are able to think up of like come up with solutions faster. They are like more unique solutions. They have newer ideas to give because they're actually going out there learning and trying to come up with frameworks. And this is one example using coding, but also another experiment is very much in deep thought, and the fact that there are student unicorns, and maybe a lot of times the top % of them are engaging more in the learning drills. They have newer ideas to give, and that gets them more recognition. And in contrast to like they are of course they sort of get to the top of that level, and they're given more responsibility at times because they're able to formulate strategically. And in contrast, maybe people who are more in the middle path of the like middle side of the student unicorns, they are sort of lagging behind because they are thinking in terms of like their everyday task and not so much on the strategic level.
So yeah, I hope that did that answer your question, Sagan?
So I would articulate it in one sentence. You guys are going to experiment based on the daily task. Means as a person is doing some like daily works, and how he will come up with that solution or framework after condensing all that works or the task that he is doing.
Right, and they're going to contrast it with the people who are not doing those things, and they're going to find the patterns in them.
Okay.
So any follow-up to that?
So no means no follow-up. My follow-up would be same that like why you are proposing it in the TOC itself. Means why this can't be another framework that you guys can provide, why it's in use.
Right. So I think a lot of what we're looking here at is association, right? We're associating like long-term thinking to like everyday examples, things like that. So also in TOC, because through TOC we are already reflecting on our like short-term activities and whatever problems we're facing. And it's sort of, this is just the prototype, right? So we are able to associate it more easily to creating frameworks, because these are the problems that we're already facing. We know them through TOC, we can reflect on them easily. And then when we're having the TOC discussion and everybody is giving their ideas and like solutions, then it can get us to think of frameworks more easily, and then those frameworks can be put into this documentation feature.
So by doing this, means by analyzing and by making sure that they understand their all the tasks, create frameworks. So how do you ensure that after creating this frameworks, definitely they will be able to strategize their work and whatever they are doing, and the thinking will get increased at the CXO level? Means, is there any mechanism or something that you guys are tracking?
Yeah, so basically, as you said, like how you will measure, right? So we are, first of all, we are also tracking the RB and MB score here. And but before that, we are looking for the how many frameworks they are created and people are following those frameworks.
What do you mean by that two symbols that you used? RP and
Okay, RB and MB. Okay, it's a maturity builder and the rigor builder uses.
Okay,
That
yeah, like can you give a short explanation about what maturity builder is and trigger builder, so others will also what they are?
Yeah. So basically, maturity builder is all about getting the root behavior, root cause of the particular incident, right? And root behavior, trigger builder is all about reason to the statements. Or short.
Okay. Yeah, sure, Amrit. So just to give a quick context to everyone, this terms such as TOC, rigor builder, maturity builder, root behavior and stuff, right? These are just some of the products that exist at Deep Thought, right? With which we help people just become much more like they are able to, reflect on their work properly. They're able to reason their work and stuff, right? So there's just some products. So what Amit is proposing is they will use these products, the uses of this product of people, right? So the more they use it, based on that data, they will be able to make certain conclusions. Okay, so yeah, any follow-up to that, Sugun? Or team wellness wise?
my follow-up would be same. Means initially you guys proposed that you guys are going to make sure that frameworks and means you're going to track tasks of the people based on the task tracking. You will ensure that how means you will basically contrast and with those people who are not doing that and that thing. Means we'll make sure how this thing will get implemented. Then you propose that means to analyze that thing and how you will make sure people are using it, this framework, your framework, to CXO level thinking. You proposed another solution that will make sure people use that rigor builder and maturity builder. So how could you connect these two pointers?
Okay, so I'll just give a clarification. The first part you mentioned about tracking progress through like seeing the experiments and all. Those experiments are more for like validating that our this problem statement makes sense, that when you are thinking strategically, you it helps you, right? So we want to validate that, and for that, in the diagnosis part and in the need finding part, that's where the experiments are coming in. And moving on to like the second part of your question, for actually measuring the progress, we want to like the experiment is not part of measuring the progress. That will come through the maturity builder, rigor builder, and like associating them with career progression. So what we're going to do is for maturity builder and rigor builder, when people are actually coming up with frameworks, they would use it more, of course, and we can see the kind of discussions that are happening there, whether their use is more about like reasoning statements for finding fundamentals, for finding first principles, whether they are able to recognize patterns, whether they are able to like see each other's patterns, or whether the use of RB and MB, it's like when they use RB and MB, when they're coming up with statements, are they documenting it in our feature? So all those things. It's a way to measure whether they're thinking more and thinking in terms of frameworks. And as to see whether it's CXO level or CEO level thinking at career progression, that we have come with like a proper concise like levels in a pyramid, and we can categorize the kind of discussions that are happening according to that pyramid to see if it's like CXO level thinking or if it's still associate level. So if they are actually thinking on like higher levels of strategy, only then we know that the product is working. I hope that answered your question.
That answers my question partially, but means again, means if they are used, you are going to measure that rigor builder, maturity builder, their participation, their reasoning. So like after measurement, like how you would make sure, means how that would be that result or outcome key. Okay, now this person is able to tackle that framework and able to think like a strategist.
Okay, I can give you one example here, right? So basically, principle is all about, document of first principles or, like problems or fundamentals coming from the POC reviews and, discussion and assessment condition. Let's say one guy, like I already shared this example, but I will give it again so more clarification. One guy just wrote like, I'm unable to write code faster, right? Then second guy wrote like, I'm unable to think in terms of different codes, right? So the one guy who just saw different like pattern. Okay, the one is not able to code fast, the second is not able to think in different codes. So the main code is the main pattern is here. They are not looking for the different codes or different people's code, right? That's the pattern he found. So what he can do, he can just create a framework like look for the different look for the more patterns in the people's code. That's a short of framework. Or I can say improve, improvise. Work, improvise, and optimization.
Okay, Amrit. So to just quickly, summarize what you said, you gave an example of two sort of people, right? One who is not able to write different sort of code, and one who is not able to think in sort of different code. So an assumption that you are making is the reason of those problems is people are not exposing themselves to other sort of code. So are they exposing themselves? And if they're exposing, are they capturing those frameworks, right?
Exactly.
But Sagun's question is, you're doing all this stuff, right? You're measuring how many frameworks a person comes up with, but how do you ensure that by all these things, people are able to think in CXO level? What do you mean by CXO level thinking? How do you ensure that people are able to think in that level? That was the question, right, Sagun? Yeah. So how do you ensure that people doing all this stuff means that they are thinking in CXO level?
Okay, so the way we define VP level or CXO level thinking is that they're able to think from a bigger picture, right? They have a more holistic view of looking at things. So if you are like an associate level or any of the junior levels, then you are going to see that problem in terms of how can I solve it quickly? How can I solve that particular problem quickly? But when you're thinking in terms of VP level or CXO level, you're thinking of finding patterns, like how many other people are facing these problems, what is the root cause behind these problems, again, like it is given in rigor builder, maturity builder, like what is the basis of that problem. You go to the fundamentals of that problem, and then you're able to sort of generalize that problem to everybody. That is like part of thinking on a business level, because you're not thinking for a specific task, but you're thinking of like what lesson it has for an entire department or maybe the organization as a whole, and then how you can like fix the culture of that organization, or how you can implement solutions that can solve that problem for everybody, right? So it's instead of like a specific problem, it's like changing the way everybody approaches that problem, like that sort of you're going to that level of thinking. So that like that is basically what we're trying to measure, and through things like rigor builder, maturity builder, or using a documentation to discuss patterns and find frameworks, you are sort of like the way you are approaching problems is changing, because you're not thinking for like short-term things, but you are like sort of taking an entire business perspective or like a framework or a pattern perspective into consideration. I hope that answered.
I have a English. You can.
Okay,
I have a
so
follow-up question. I just want to like
yes, please go ahead.
then English you can ask. Means you mentioned that two times you mentioned that people are going to have this business perspective if they are going to use that thing. So how means definitely it's important that if that person is going to be at VP level or like CXO level, so it's important that person has this business perspective and how organization work and all. So how your framework will help to gain that business perspective, because there is no any business point of view that I am seeing in this process. It's all about how they can create frameworks and how they can strategize things, but how that business perspective will come into picture.
Okay, so like sort of to give you a very simple example, and then I'll try to explain it. Take for example Socratic dialogues, right? We have this concept that we try to break down, where we find like insights, we find patterns, and then we find how we can apply it in our daily lives. So that is sort of an example of being in a leadership position where some kind of activity that is happening, some discussions that are happening, some reflections that you are doing, all those things help you gather insights, help you create patterns, and you are able to apply it for problem solving. So if like I take my own example, and maybe maybe in terms of like how we are sorry, lost track of thought. I have like I'm trying to solve a specific person's problem in career progression lab, but then I realized that this is a problem everybody else is facing. So I saw a specific problem. I look at the patterns. I come up with a like framework for it, and if I'm able to see that that framework can be applied in the business context, I can see that it is creating value for other people. Then I'm able to like think of solutions where this can be implemented for a larger audience, and then I can go to like organizations and say, okay, I found a solution to this problem, it has some value, it's working for people under me, so you can implement it as well. So it's like the value creation is happening through that process.
Praveen, does that answer your question?
Partially it answers my question. Like my point was not this framework, how this framework will going to create that value, wealth, or business perspective. My point was those people who you are trying to target, how they will get that business perspective while using this framework, because that is one of the key thing that a person is needed when that person will go at the top levels.
Okay, so I think what I'm getting, we're sort of targeting the habit that people have of approaching things in a short-term way. But when you're thinking in VP or CXO level, you want to change the way you approach problems, right? So instead of like trying to just look at solutions, your first approach is to look at it in a holistic way and like think of frameworks. So that is something that is very unique for people who are in management or executive positions. It's not the kind of habit you have of thinking in your everyday life. So it's the like this mindset, this kind of thinking through practice, through these activities, through documentation and discussion. It's like we're giving them sort of a space to cultivate this mindset.
English, you can go ahead with the question.
So you are kind of mapping out the problems. Sorry, you are not. You are kind of collecting all the problems and mapping out the solution or strategies to solve that problem, or to yes.
Sorry, what was your question, English? Can you go over there again?
My question was, so you are collecting the problems, right? You are collecting different problems and you are mapping the solution or a strategy to solve that problem.
Ideally, yes. That's the kind of mindset we want people to have. That's the kind of habit we are trying to inculcate. But it's not just for like problems specifically, just it's about making associations and patterns, right? So whether it's in TOC or it's in asynchronous discussions, whether it's just some lecture or some kind of insight that somebody shared on a WhatsApp group, you're able to associate that with like the categories or the frameworks that you have in this documentation feature. So not just for like problems, but any insights in general.
Great, thank you, Neeraj. Okay, any more question? We can go ahead with the final question.
Yeah, can I ask?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so my question was, how will you, ensure that the implementation of the solution is iterative, right? How will you ensure that it gets better with continuous feedback?
Could you please repeat it again, Mohit? Didn't get your question.
How will you make sure that, the implementation of your solution, right? How will you make sure that it is iterative, that it gets better based on the user feedback?
Okay, so that's once again what we measured, right? We're measuring it through how much they're using maturity builder, rigor builder, or like what is the quality of thinking that they're having, whether it's strategy level or not. So we can like sort of set a criteria whether to see the change in people, like is their thought process changing, is the way that they approach problems changing, are they able to come up with more frameworks. So whether if they are, then we know that it's sort of working, and we can get, of course, at Deep Thought we're always looking for feedback, so we can get more feedback. We can see if they actually see the change, if they're able to associate or connect this learning with their actual behavior. So these are some of the ways we know that it's working, and we can then look at ways that it can be improved. If people feel that okay, these are some changes we can make that can facilitate my thinking even more, then we would be, of course, welcome to make those changes.
Does it answer your question, right?
But like, how will you make sure that they see the change?
Again, things like reflections or TOC. At Deep Thought, we are trying to make sure that whatever changes we're having, we're sort of reflecting on them and we are getting more clarity on them. So again, like it is for rigor builder, maturity builder, I personally felt like my thoughts were getting more organized when I use those products. So even for this documentation thing, we can see if people are saying statements like, okay, this has helped me connect more dots, or I had this discussion here, I gained this insight here, and then I was able to connect it to that framework. So these are things that people can say that they're experiencing, and that is how we know it's working.
Okay.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Mohit. Thank you, Samida. Since we don't have much more time, let us end the event here. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. It was a great question and answering sessions. We can go ahead with the reflection and then end. So would anyone of you like to go ahead and share your reflection? What were some of the observations that you made? What were some of the insights that you captured?
Okay, I'll go ahead. So, for me, like initially when we are trying to like work on our pitch and lots of ideas were not coming, but questioning is a great way to come up with lots of thoughts, and like the way Hinglaj and Mohit just build upon that the ideas that we discussed a few hours back was really a great for me. So that insight was really thank.
Great. Thank you, Sagun. Anyone else who would like to go ahead with the reflection?
Yeah. So while we were discussing on our product and the idea, so it was like how to find the pattern and how to do that thing, right? But we didn't think in terms of the CXO, also things in terms of business level, like our business context. So that also just gave us the different perspective, like how we can think in a same project in a different way, right? And I really love this project. I hope we will definitely integrate in the TOC in future. and I will personally work on it.
Great, Amrit. Thank you. Anyone else would like to go ahead with the reflection? Okay, if not, then great. Thank you so much, guys. I hope that even the audience who are watching us, you got to learn something about design thinking today. So both the teams brought up some really interesting problem statements, and we exchanged some questions and thought about those problem statements, right? Used the whole idea of design thinking to work on those problems. So I hope that you will take these problem statements forward, because you are working on those problem statements, right, in your teams. So let's hope that with design thinking, we can actually solve them. So yeah, hope you all had a good time. Thank you so much for being here.